Hi class. Now, if you're new to perspective, linear perspective, it can be confusing. So I just wanted to go through some of the reading and discussion before talking about this assignment. First of all, I just want to point out to you that everything you need is laid out very carefully for you in this course. And if you just take time to look at it all and read it and watch the videos, you should be in really good shape. Okay, so this first part is just about the resources available to you for software help. And I'm always posting the Illustrator and Photoshop short courses. There's one posted in the announcement section right now. Okay, I also have my late policy submitted and all that. So the autobiography, I include a picture that I drew of myself. Any images you want to include are welcome, just to help us to get to know you a little bit better. Okay? So perspective is actually an invention. Okay, it was invented uh, in the early Renaissance by Brunelleschi. And here is a discussion about him. So prior to Brunelleschi, the way they showed depth in a painting or deep space in a two-dimensional image like this relief sculpture was by size, making things smaller, and a lot of times uh, the things on top of the image are meant to be further away. That's still a tradition used in Asian art. Okay, overlapping is also a way to show a little bit of depth. Okay, we don't see much overlapping here, but a little bit. All right, and here is Brunelleschi. This is obviously a much later sculpture of him. A whatchamacallit, sorry, a three-dimensional sculpture. Okay, here's some of the other accomplishments of his. All right, and with each of these sections there are some additional images. All right, so you can see this is a medieval or Middle Ages sculpture, and you can see that, oh, actually it's Roman, showing that they're using overlapping to show depth, and there's some dimension to the figures as well. But perspective, you can start to see how there's these lines that recede to a certain space, a vanishing point, and we're going to learn how to do all that and how that creates the illusion of depth. Also, the figures in the distance are smaller, the figures in the foreground are larger. Okay, so review all that. There's a whole section on different kinds of perspective. All right, and do take your time to look at all this. It's super helpful, and with all of these you can toggle, I think, oh no, that's not in here, but in later pictures you can toggle the they're called orthogonals, but they're also considered vanishing, the lines that go to the vanishing points. They're diagonal lines. Okay, here is some tips on taking pictures of your work. This is extremely important. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this, and you really can't see the picture well. One of the things you need to know about doing online artwork is that you have to be masterful about documenting your imagery and uploading it. Okay, so be sure and follow all these directions if you need to. They're laid out very well, but the most important thing is to make sure your camera is parallel to the picture plane. Okay, so one point perspective is when the viewer is seeing things from one point. Okay, so these lines, even though they're straight, they are going to converge at the vanishing point somewhere out in space. And here's where we can see an example of that. Okay, so there's the vanishing point, here's the horizon line, and here's the orthogonals. And I think they're calling them something different in this session, but guidelines. They're calling them guidelines. Okay, so these all recede to that point. All right, so do take your time to look at all these images and see how that works. Okay, the horizon line is a really important piece here. Where the horizon line is placed gives you what your perspective is going to be. Okay, so in this one, the horizon line is out of the picture plane, and we're looking up at the image. Okay, and in let's see, this one, where it's 1 point perspective. Okay, it's not in the center the way it was in the train image, but it still is 1 point perspective. Everything is vanishing to one place. Technically, it could be 2 point perspective if you wanted to consider these lines on the top of the box, but we'll look at that a little bit later. Okay, so basic shapes in 1 point perspective. Let's see why. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So, one of the things to remember about this, and this is discussed in the video on, she calls it the F factor. Object F is you don't want your shapes to overlap. Okay. And I don't know why I'm not getting my shapes. There we go. Okay, so you want to think about where your footprint is for your shapes. So none of these shapes in real life would overlap one another. So when you do assignment 1, you really want to think about that. Okay, and to understand more about what I'm talking about, check out the video here. Okay, and a grid also helps clarify how to use perspective. Okay. And this section here discusses that. All right, and here is the point about overlapping shapes. Really look at this. It's super helpful, especially for this first assignment, assignment 2. Okay, so on this one you're going to do 9 shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one has 10. Just make sure you have 3 examples of each shape: cubes, rectangular prisms, and triangular prisms, and make sure that they could exist in real space together, so there's no overlapping going on here. Alright, this one is overlapped a little bit, but this shape is in front of that space, that shape, so that's why that works. See how all these lines recede to the vanishing point. So that's all you need to really remember, is that every single line, these lines, these lines, these lines, these lines, all the lines that represent the sides of the boxes, not the plane that's parallel to us, recede to the vanishing point. Okay, so good luck with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work.